Have you ever been speaking to someone or a group and felt that they weren't listening? Most people have. Communication in a business is critical and your success relies on it. We've done extensive research and studied how to listen actively in the workplace. We've developed our own sound listening plans, and they've really helped improve our relationships with all of our coworkers. Today, we're going to talk to you about the importance of listening actively and having and developing a sound listening plan, something that's critical for your success in the business world. Today, we're going to talk to you about listening actively. Well, where should you listen actively? Everywhere. Most importantly in a business environment, but it's a good thing to do to build and maintain relationships with people. The difference between active and passive listening is the fact that, well, one person is probably going to play on their phone and not paying attention to you, and the other person is going to give their undivided attention. Listening actively is the most important probably trait that you can have to be successful in the business world. Most people are passive listeners. You know, they're definitely distracted by a number of things. In order to be a good active listener, you really want to develop a sound listening plan. It's a lot like how it sounds. It's a plan about how you plan on listening to some kind of meeting, presentation, interview, and it's just about giving your undivided attention to someone.
As we discussed in the preview, the main two things, or the first step we're going to go over, is active versus passive listening. When you're an active listener, you're not only listening to just be there because you have to for the meeting and you don't want to be there early in the morning, you're listening to gain information. Not only does it allow you to get a good impression on the people that you're listening to and your fellow coworkers and set an example, it helps you get a better understanding of the work you're doing, and it's going to lead to higher quality work. Versus if you're a passive listener, not only are you just being there to be there, you're not listening to try to gain information or understand anything, you're just distracted, you're going to miss key information that could lead to loss of a job or loss of coworkers or even your boss being fired because you messed up on something that they were trying to teach you. It's going to lead to overall lower quality work. The main things that you want to understand and take away from active versus passive listening is that passive listening really is just, it's the slacker type of way. It's going to be, I'm just doing this to get through it. The information's going in one ear, coming out the other. Active, you're coming to the meeting prepared, you're taking notes, you're ready to listen, you're attentive. You're really going to end up getting higher quality work versus lower quality work when you listen actively versus if you're passive listener.
So a couple ways to practice active listening is what we like to call forming a sound listening plan. Now these 8 steps that we have here will help you, walk you through in ways that will help you to not listen passively but actively. Now step 1 is be mindful of your self-talk. So what self-talk is a little conscious in your head that says certain things if you want it or not. You have to be aware of how you are as a person and what your thoughts normally are. Now by being aware of this, it'll help you not to overreact to certain things or underreact to certain things. Step 2, mentally prepare to listen. So what this entails is before the conversation even happens, try to think about what might come up, how you should react to certain things, what kind of effort you need to put into listening, understand the implications of the context. Now step 3, concentrate and commit to listen. Now this is the first step that we have actually during the conversation. The rest have more preparation for the conversation. So this step will do, it'll help you listen actively rather than passively. And you also need to realize that you don't need to give the same attention to every message that the sender is giving you. Now step 4, look like you're ready to listen. Not all feedback is just audio, but the majority of the feedback that people get is from your own body language and how you express yourself. So this could be anything from clearing all your distractions, taking out your earbuds, making good eye contact, and just giving good visual feedback that'll make the other person want to talk to you. So step 4 leads right into step 5, and they kind of go hand in hand with each other. Which step 5 is encouraging others to talk. Now this could be anything between slight head nods and, as we already talked about, using your body language, or it could also be verbal things such as cues like go on or tell me more. Step 6, search actively for meaning. Now this is one of the most important steps in active listening. because this is you trying to listen, not only to just respond, but to understand. So you want to look for clues on what the person is trying to say, and what do they really mean. What is the true meaning behind what words are coming out of their mouth? Step 7, make an effort to keep listening actively. Now, after step 6, as we said, searching actively for meaning, it can be hard to keep doing this over a long period of time. So this is just keeping that attention, keeping that focus on the conversation at hand and not getting lost, and just keep focusing on what the talker is trying to say. The last and final step of a good sound listening plan is step 8, suspend judgment. So before they even talk, you don't want to have any biases, any prejudices about that person. You want to take into consideration all perspectives that they may have, and that'll help you to create a clear picture of your mind of the meaning that they're trying to create.
By learning good active listening techniques, we will be able to produce better quality work and also build long-lasting relationships with our colleagues. Our goal is to develop good physical skills that prepare ourselves to automatically create a better environment to listen in. We just discussed the 8 steps in the sound listening plan, and today we're going to practice 3 of them. So the 3 that we're going to practice is first, concentrating and committing to listening. Second, looking ready to listen. And final, we're going to practice encouraging others to talk. These skills will help create a sound listening plan that we can use in our future.
Our first focus is on concentrating and committing to listening, which is step 3 of our sound listening plan. By this point, we have already mentally prepared ourselves to be conscious of our self-talk and to be prepared to listen. So the first thing is to clear distractions away from yourself. This includes putting away your books, electronics, pens, and whatnots.
With a presentation about to begin, notice how Grant is not making any efforts to clear his desk. He is focused on his computers. There are papers and pens everywhere. But now we look at Zach. When he has heard about the presentation about to begin, he is quietly putting his things away into his backpack and clearing the desk. He's going to be ready to listen and get the full detail of what's going on in the presentation.
Now, let's practice as a class. Next, we have to look ready to listen. And this is presenting our body to be open to communication. This means sitting up straight, eyes on the presenter, and feet on the floor, instead of sitting all wonky.
Now we have to be prepared to listen. Notice how Austin is sitting with his legs crossed, he's looking at his phone, his arms are crossed, and he's talking.
No, I'm not doing anything.
Now we look at Deshay. She's sitting with eye contact and straight up, her feet are on the floor, and she looks like she's ready to listen.
Now, let's practice as a class. This is important in all of your conversations, even the most basic ones, because it shows your willingness to listen with intent. We're going to practice 2 related skills to encourage others to talk. The first one is we're going to learn to use positive body language and verbal feedback to reassure that you're listening to your presenter. This is asking questions to clarify what's going on, not slumping or looking around while the presenter is speaking either.
Clearly we have a presentation going on here. If we take a look at our students, we notice that Deshay is being a great student by nodding and smiling to encourage her instructor to go on. Austin over here is clearly not paying attention and not really caring what's going on as the information is going in one ear and out the other.
Now, let's practice as a class. The final step we're going to practice is asking questions and commenting to encourage our speaker into further detail of the subject. This gives us clarity on the subject being spoken about, and it also helps our understanding of it.
Sometimes speakers may not clarify what they are saying. It is important for the speaker to also listen actively to his students. When there's confusion, students like Austin will sometimes just not say anything and go along with whatever is going on. But then we have students like Deshay who will actively ask a question to clarify and get further instruction on the subject.
Now, let's practice as a class.
Okay, so today we went over many different ways to listen actively. We started by discussing the difference between passive and active listening, and we also went through and discussed the 8 steps involved in a sound listening plan. These 8 steps will help us to mentally and physically prepare to listen actively in any conversation or speaking environment we're in. Today we went over 3 of those steps, and we showed you good and bad examples, and we even had you practice some of these to help you understand the listening plan and to start your own sound listening plan. In conclusion, listening is involved in your everyday life, be it from conversations with friends, conversations with your family, work environment, school environment, from listening to meetings or listening during teachers' lectures. Listening is an integral part of your everyday lives. It will help you to get ahead in life and be more reliable, a better listener, build better relationships with your friends, your family, your workplace, your classmates, and overall listen. And I hope you get further in life, and I hope that we can take what we learned here today and go out and listen actively.